as they're on their way out from the agency because they couldn't make a hit song, the agency then contacts these hostess bars. And now there are groups and individuals that are specifically and purposely looking for sponsors willing to trade their body in order to get to stardom.
What's up, guys? Fuchi from Fuchi TV here today. I've got an absolutely crazy story here from the K-pop industry today. It's not in English newspapers, it's not in Korean newspapers. The source is directly from a trainer who used to be working for various K-pop groups both here and in China. Now, as far as I know, this will be the only place at the moment where you will find this story here in English. Now, before I get to that story, I'd like to apologize. I know the frequency in which I've been uploading videos recently has been quite infrequent. I've been trying to run my own small business and doing some DJing stuff on the side, so I haven't had a lot of time to make the scripts, record the videos, and do the editing. So from this video on, I'm actually asking two of my very close Korean friends to get involved in this project, Fuchi TV, and they will be helping me with the audio and possible subtitles if the video requires it. So I'd like to say that from this video on, hopefully the videos will become more frequent, as well as the editing will become better because they are much better editors than I am. So without further ado, let's get started. And today what we're going to be talking about is the dark side of the K-pop industry. And no, I'm not talking about all the other stories that have already been out, all the stories about how they're overworked, how they're underpaid, how they're living in small, dormitories and they can't, talk to their friends or family or outside world. You can find all those videos on other people's channels. Today's video is about how the K-pop industry is training girls to become K-pop stars. However, if they fail, which they can, even if they're in the training program, they can still fail, and how they're moving from that failure and being drafted into the prostitution industry. Let's get started with today's story. So in an interview with an ex-K-pop trainer, he pretty much talks about the entire process of what it takes to become a K-pop star, and it actually takes about 8 years. That's right, 8 full years from the time that they win a competition, they enter a competition to perform against other girls or guys. This is guys and girls, this entire story today, guys and girls. They're in a competition to compete with one another in order for the chance to become a K-pop star. Now, once they win that competition, they at that point enter a 8-year education training period. And what that period does is it teaches them how to sing, it teaches them how to dance, it teaches them foreign languages, and it also teaches them things such as instruments. Now, back in the day, and even today for small agencies, when they enroll into that 8-year program, it's actually on the K-pop trainees' responsibility to pay for their own education and training. And as you can imagine, 8 years of training in all these different fields can be very, very expensive. And that's coming all out of pocket. It's probably coming from the parents. It's probably coming from bank loans. Now that has changed a little bit today. Big agencies nowadays are paying for the training and education. However, there still are smaller agencies today that exist that require the trainee to pay for the education themselves. And as you can imagine, 8 years, that must be extremely expensive. After they finish the 8-year program, this is only for a chance to become a K-pop star. Now, once they finish the program, they're ready and they get formed into a group. But each year, approximately 100 groups get created. 100 groups a year. And out of those 100, only about one out of 100, 1% actually make it to go on to become a famous K-pop group by creating a hit song. So you have to compete. Then once you get accepted, you go through this 8-year education program, sometimes paid for by the trainee. And then after all that, you're only given a 1% chance of actually making it big. Now, if that group fails to make a hit song, then they get dropped by their agency, and guess what? They're left with the wonderful farewell gift of having all of that debt if they are part of a small agency. And after spending 8 years of their life, possibly even more if they were training before the competition, they don't have any job experience, they don't have any university experience, so there's really not a lot that these people can do. They're not able to get, quote, good jobs, even going to a university, a 4-year university in Korea, because the competition is so fierce in universities for jobs. Even if you graduate a 4-year university, there's not a 100% chance of getting in the good job. It's even harder than in Western countries because it's absolutely more difficult. So they've gone through 8 years of training. They haven't gone to university, which means they don't have a lot of skill sets and they really aren't able to get or secure a good job. Let's take a look at what the ex-K-pop trainer has to say about this.
사실 아이돌은 예술가가 아니에요. 엄청 유명해진 아이돌들이 실력도 있고 너무 유명세도 있고 이러니까 아티스트다, 예술가다 이렇게 얘기를 하는 거지, 사실 아이돌을 제작하는 과정은 철저하게 상품으로서 만들어집니다. 너무 가슴 아픈 이야기지만 그렇게 상품으로 애들을 만들어 놓고 팔리지 않으면 재고가 되고 버려지게 되는 거죠.
Now, here's where things start getting dark. As they're on their way out from the agency because they couldn't make a hit song, and if they're from a big agency, they don't have the debt, but they don't have any work or educational experience. If they're from a small agency, they don't have either of those, but they also have a bunch of debt. The agency then contacts these hostess bars and gives the contact information of the girls or guys to those hostess bars. So the girls or guys, they're off in the real world now trying to find a job. Maybe they're able to find a job that makes about 2 million won, which is approximately $1,800, $1,800. And one day they're working and all of a sudden they get this call and it's from the hostess bar and they're saying, hey, we know you're only making 2 million won a month. We would like you to come work for us. Now, when they're first initially contacted, they're not initially contacted to act as prostitutes. That would be the person answering the phone like, what do you hell no? And then they'd hang up. No. They're asked to not do anything but work at the front desk as a receptionist or as a greeter, welcoming clients that come into the bar. And the bars, they say, okay, we know you're making 2 million won a month, $1,800. How about you just work in the front? All you have to do, you don't have to drink, you don't have to speak to the clients, you just have to welcome them when they come in, and we'll pay you 4 million won a month, which is about $3,600 per month, which is a pretty good living, especially in Seoul. Now, the reason why they're willing to pay that much is because these hostess bars also need to have beautiful girls working in the front, or guys. Again, there are places that have these girls where guys come to go talk and drink with them, and there are also places where women go to meet and speak with very handsome Korean men. And for one of these places to be successful, they need to have handsome or very beautiful people working in the front, which is why even though $3,600 a month sounds like a lot just for one night as a greeter, it can be very lucrative. So they call them and they offer this position, and because they're only working in the front and that's twice as much money as what they're currently making at their crappy part-time job that they're probably at the moment, they're more than willing to go ahead and accept that. So before we move on to the story, I think we need to talk about real quick about, for those who aren't familiar, what a hostess bar actually is. And what a hostess bar is, it's not a brothel. People aren't going there and directly paying for sex. Pretty much what a hostess bar is, these people that can afford it, they go quite often and they build a relationship with the man or woman that's working there. And another word for these is actually room salons. So essentially, you're paying a lot of money through the price of alcohol to sit and talk to someone who's very attractive. Now, although it's not explicit prostitution, because there's alcohol involved and because clients are constantly speaking with these high net worth individuals usually, and if a relationship forms, usually it turns into a prostitute-like situation where they're paying. First, it starts off just paying for drinks, and then depending on how the relationship develops, it can escalate into actually paying for sex. Now, while these ex-idols are working as a receptionist, they're overhearing things from the other girls who are actually working the rooms, or guys, and saying like, whoa, this person received $1,000 in tips tonight, or $2,000, or they got a brand new luxury bag. Whoa, that's so good. I'm so jealous. I wish that was me. I wish I was the one accepting that bag. She is so lucky. And as the receptionist, they keep on hearing this kind of these types of conversations, and that could be quite tempting. And again, at this point, even the girls in the room, they may or may not actually be having sex with the clients, but they're just talking and drinking with them and having a nice conversation. And just through that, you can receive $1,000 to $2,000, maybe even more per night, or luxury handbags or nice designer clothing. Whoa, that sounds like a good deal. So that's how they start tempting these girls and start trying to make them more interested in moving from the reception into the actual rooms themselves. Now, the managers who work at these places were actually ex-idols as well, and they ended up in the same position. However, they were able to exceed at the job that they were doing at these hostess bars. So they were elevated to managers. So they know all the tricks on how to manipulate and trick the girls into becoming one of the escort. They have various tactics like, oh, you're graduating this academy or this school. Why don't, we're going to roll up there with a Bentley to celebrate your graduation. Oh, you're sick and nobody's there to take care of you. Just wait right there. We're going to send a group of people in about 10 to 15 minutes and they will take care of you. They're going to bring you chicken soup. They're going to bring you tissues. They're going to comfort you. Just hang on. We got a team on the way right now. They treat the ex-idols like they are family. Now, you may think, whoa, what's going on here? Like when you're watching a horror movie and you're like, don't go in there, you idiot. That's what are you thinking? That obviously you know what's in there. Now, you have to keep in mind that a lot of these previous idols have a difficult time thinking for themselves. Not because they're dumb. I'm sure they're very bright individuals. But for 7 to 8 years during that training period, they're hardly allowed to think by themselves. By their agencies, they're told what to wear. They're told what to eat. They have very strict eating restrictions. They have, they're told where to sleep. They're told when to wake up. They're told when to train. If you go for it doesn't matter how smart you are. If you go for 7 to 8 years without thinking for yourself, doing what you're told from the basic necessities of when to wake up and who you're allowed to contact and even what to wear, then eventually this starts, creating some sort of mental degradation that makes it difficult to start to think by yourself. 7 to 8 years being told exactly what to do, all down to when you eat, and what you wear. It's hard to think for yourself after you become so dependent on somebody else telling you exactly what to do. Let's take a quick look at the ex-K-pop trainer's video about what he says about how the girls find these, quote, sponsors.
그리고 20대 초반의 연습생 선배들을 보면 꼭 1명, 2명씩 스폰서를 받는 사람이 있습니다. 여러분이 생각하시는 그 일주일에 한두 번 만나주고 큰 돈을 받아오는 그 스폰이 맞습니다. 그런 애들은 연습생인데도 연습복이 아디다스 정품 풀세트, 가방도 엄청 비싼 거 들고 다니고 이래요.
So, the girls working the reception, and that one faithful day comes along where one of the VIP customers who spends butts load of money, he eyes the reception girl, he eyes her, and he tells the manager, I want that girl in the room. And this is when the manager starts making their move. They say things like, oh, the girl working tonight, something happened, she's sick, this or that, and she can't make the shift. Can you please just sit in there for this one shift? Go in there, have a drink. You don't have to do anything. Just pour one drink, have a shot yourself. That's all we're asking you to do. So that person goes in there, they have a drink, and they just pour one shot and have one shot themselves, and then they earn $500. $500 for 10 seconds of work. So then now they know all the other girls are making a lot of money. They've just made a lot of money themselves, and the managers are at it again. Oh, it's not prostitution if it's your choice. you can choose whether or not you want to sleep with them. You don't have to worry about it. If you don't like anything you're doing, you could leave at any time. And this combination of the management of these nightclubs treating them better than family in most cases, the making an extremely large amount of money for really not doing much but pouring the drinks, and the fact that it's difficult to think for themselves, think independently after 7 to 8 years of being told what to do, it's the perfect recipe to be manipulated into actually having sex with some of the clients, which, it's not, hey, I'll pay you this much money to have sex with me, but it essentially is. They're drinking, the clients are paying $500 to take a shot with you, and then there's some expectations that they want to do something, and then something happens, and then they give you more money, or they give you a designer product. So it's not the traditional sense of prostitution in which you go in, you explicitly pay for sex, but this is essentially what's happening in order to get the ex-K-pop idols in the prostitution industry. Now let's go and talk about this thing called sponsors. Now, what is a sponsor? And if you're thinking a sponsor, it's not like a Formula One race car driver wearing all these, logos on their uniforms, or NASCAR or whatever, that have all the sponsors of companies. It's nothing like that. Sponsor, there's no direct translation in English. It's kind of a mix between prostitution and sugar daddy. So essentially what a sponsor does is they have this person and they buy them nice things and they give them money and they help them if they need it in whatever industry they might be working for. And in exchange, they have a sexual relationship with them. So there are a lot of powerful people in Korea, whether it be movie producers or news anchors or whatnot. They have a certain interest with one of these previous K-pop idols, and they try to have a drink with them. And because they've worked so hard for 8 years, even the team is kind of like, come on, just I know it might be bad, but just meet this person, just have drinks with them, just do whatever you have to do. We've been working so hard and we're almost there. We just need to meet someone powerful in order to get our K-pop group off the ground. And we've seen it before. Anytime you see some sort of, I don't want to say any names, but any of these large conglomerates, the commercials featuring a K-pop group that nobody's ever heard of or seen before, chances are they got there through a sponsor. And now there are groups and individuals that are specifically and purposely looking for sponsors willing to trade their body in order to get to stardom. And it's, we've seen it in Hollywood with Harvey Weinstein and other actors, of course. And it's in Korea with the K-pop industry and a whole bunch of mysterious figures, celebrities, or people working at these big conglomerates. So it's pretty much the exact same thing happening here, what's happening in Hollywood. And I've said it many times throughout the video, it's not just women. These are male ex-K-pop idols as well. Not doing anything gay, but they're working in places that rich cougars go to, and they demand the exact same thing from them if they want to give them if they want a chance at stardom. So these young, beautiful, handsome K-pop guys are going there, working these places, selling drinks at exorbitant prices, and drinking with them, and doing other sexual things with the cougars in exchange for money, and also in exchange to get their group sponsored in order to actually make it big. And this is not just happening with powerful people in Korea. There's a very high price tag for these K-pop idols in China as well. There are many rich Chinese who want a chance with these K-pop idols, so they either come to Korea and participate in the same thing, or a lot of the times the girls go to Macau because there's a lot of money, there's a lot of Chinese money, they're interested, and maybe if they can't make it big in Korea, maybe they could make it big in China. And if it's making it big in China versus nothing, I'm sure the girls will be more than thrilled to make it big over there as well. So I was absolutely shocked the first time I heard of it. I didn't know anything like this. I knew about the other dark secrets, about the working too much, about the minimum wage, or not minimum wage, but minimum pay. A lot of them are working very hard but not getting paid very much, or the working conditions are extreme. They're not allowed to talk to friends. They're not allowed to talk to families. They're constantly forced to have this persona that's not really them. I had no idea this prostitution racket was going on, and it's absolutely insane. It was absolutely shocked. I was completely shocked when I found out about it, and it's not being talked about. It's not in any English. It's definitely not in any Western media, English or whatnot. It's not even in Korean media. The only reason this information is out right now is thanks to the ex-K-pop trainer. He has his own channel. He's done interviews talking about all these issues. You can find his videos and his channel in the description below. Unfortunately, there are no English subtitles, so unless you know Korean, as of right now, this is the only video on YouTube that you're going to get this type of information. If there are any other things, any other dark secrets in Korea, any other things you want explored, talk about, please let me know. Please leave a comment below, and I will try to research that topic as thoroughly as I can and present you guys with a video. If you have any questions or comments, leave it in below. And if you like this video, please hit that like button and make sure to subscribe, because now that I have my expert team with me, we're going to be pumping out videos more frequently and with higher quality. So stay tuned for some more excellent content. I'll catch you guys later.